This has Canucks fans absolutely buzzing as a recent report revealing the top 100 prospects in the NHL has dropped and multiple Canucks prospects have cracked the list, and we're going to break down exactly where they rank, how this impacts the future, and exactly what you need to know on these top prospects within the Canucks system, and so much more in this episode. You're not going to want to miss it. Before we get into that, if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet and you want to stay up to date on everything to do around the Vancouver Canucks, make sure to go down and hit it. It's completely free, and we'll give you updates from prospect videos like this, news, reports, trade rumors, anything you can think of right here on Canucks Digest. So look no further for your daily Vancouver Canucks updates. But with that, let's just hop straight into it today, where we did see Scott Wheeler dropped his annual top 100 drafted prospects in the National Hockey League. That's going to be linked down in the description. He does an awesome job and goes so in depth in his article on each player, and you're not going to want to miss reading that, so check that out in the description. But hopping straight in this today, we do see the first Vancouver Canucks, and we have three to break down in this list, in Tom Willander coming in at number 44 among all the top prospects in the National Hockey League. Tom Willander, who just signed his ELC this past offseason with the Vancouver Canucks, or this offseason I should say, ranked in tier 4 of prospects, a 6'1", 180-pound Swedish defenseman is set to join this Vancouver Canucks team going into next season. We've seen how productive he was at Boston University, playing 39 games, 24 points, a plus 19. We've seen how well he played during Sweden in the World Championships Juniors. He was outstanding at every level he has played at and is going to continue his success into the National Hockey League. Now, we did get a quote from Thomas Bryant, so this entire article will be down below as well. He says the Canucks are planning for both Tom Willander and Elias Pettersson, the defenseman, to be on the team to open the 2025-2026 season. Now, with the Canucks, we know right now they do have a bit of a logjam on defense, which is a very good thing. I'm not going to sit here and say it is bad, but seeing reports that Tom Willander is not only a top 45 prospect in the National Hockey League, but also set to join this Canucks team going into next season, it does get very interesting. Now, before we get into the other players, I do want to briefly look at the fact that Canucks have a very good and deep defensive core, where we're going to see Tom Willander and DPD fighting for that last spot to play with Derek Forbort. I'm sure we're going to see three of these guys kind of rotate in depending on matchups and how they develop and progress in the season. But having the Canucks having not only one, but three guys in the top 100 really shows how good this prospect pool is. And there's even more players that aren't on this list. One goaltender we're going to touch on a video, a little teaser later on, that is ranked among the top goaltenders as well. But going straight into the second player is fan favorite, or my favorite, I should say, Jonathan Lekkerimäki. Now, Jonathan Lekkerimäki has been dominant at every level as well. Yes, he had a bit of a stinker of the playoffs, but Lekkerimäki, 5'11", 172 pounds. Yes, he needs to put on weight. Yes, he needs to get used to a full 82 game size during an NHL season, as we've seen him slow down a tiny bit during the Abbotsford playoff because it was the most hockey he has played in a full calendar year. But Jonathan Lekkerimäki is a lethal shot and someone that can step in within this Canucks season, either with the Abbotsford Canucks or with the big club. Now, going into Jonathan Lekkerimäki, we know he dominated at the World Juniors, leading the entire tournament in goals. We've seen with Abbotsford during the regular season, 36 games played, 19 goals and 28 points for the 19-year-old at the time. Going into this, Jonathan Lekkerimäki is a dominant goal scorer, 7 points in 16 games. He had a rough stretch during the playoffs as well, but stepping back into the lineups in the finals and not looking out of place. Yes, Lekkerimäki needs to put on a bit of size. He needs to get used to the National Hockey League ice, where it is a lot smaller than what he's used to in Europe. But Jonathan Lekkerimäki, at such a young age, is going to step into this Canucks team at some point within the next year or two and make a dominant impact. I mean, going into a Swedish players drafted, we've seen Tom Willander drafted 11th overall, a very good two-way defenseman that can put up points, but is very good and active with his stick. This list of Swedes the Canucks have drafted in the first round is very good company. I mean, we've seen the Sedins, we've seen Petey, Jonathan Lekkerimäki stepping in at number 15th overall in the 2022 draft. The Canucks do like their Swedes. We're going to look at that. We know that, no jokes intended, this Swedish general manager loves to draft the Swedish-born players, and all of them have stepped up. Now, he did not draft Daniel and Henrik Sedin. Shout out to Burke for that. But this is a team that knows what it takes to win with European players, or at least be productive with European players, as the Canucks have not won yet. But the big thing is Lekkerimäki is looking at a bigger role and going into less of a Swedish style. We do get Cootes, who was drafted 15th overall by the Canucks just this past season. Cootes steps in 5'11", 183 pounds, a center, tier 5, and I think this is a little lower than Cootes should get. Cootes is stepping in as a very intriguing prospect. Someone that's not going to go out and put up 100 points. I mean, he could, but we know his strong suit is how hard he is to play against, his defensive mind, his face-offs, and his leadership, which is a lot of things you cannot teach a player. You can teach them how to work with a stick, but you cannot teach them how to be a leader in the locker room. Now, Cootes coming in, we know, playing with the Seattle Thunderbirds in the WHL. 26 goals, 63 points, leading them as a captain into the playoffs, 8 points in 6 games. Cootes is a born leader. We've seen this at the World Championship level when he led Canada as the captain. We've seen it with Cootes going into the WHL, and I think there's a strong chance that we see Cootes at some point in the next 3 years wearing a letter, or at least playing with the Canucks, and eventually wearing a letter for this franchise. Could it be captain if Quinn Hughes leaves? Listen, we don't want to talk about it, but there is a leadership aspect coming from Cootes that a lot of players that have been drafted are unable to really achieve. I mean, looking at this, we know there's a big stockload of wingers on this team. Cootes could slide into this role maybe in 2 to 3 years from now as that third or second line center. Jonathan Lekkerimäki is a very interesting one because we've seen how productive he has been with Abbotsford. But looking at the list of the players the Vancouver Canucks have next year, with him being waiver exempt, it does seem like he will start the year with the Abbotsford Canucks unless you want to move on from someone. We've seen the trade rumors with Teddy Blucher, Dakota Joshua. If one of these players are moved and they go out to get a center and they need to fill the void, yes, Lekkerimäki could step in and fit perfectly. But I do think it's better off letting him develop a little more in the Abbotsford Canucks. Let him hit the 30-goal plateau in the AHL. There's a lot to like about not only Jonathan Lekkerimäki, but Tom Willander himself, the shutdown defenseman that's going to get time with the Canucks this year. And I'm super excited to see him finally break into the league after the whole ELC fiasco, I should say, that happened with him as well. But Canucks fans, what is your thoughts on this? We've seen Scott Wheeler come out with this report. Once again, will be down in the description. Awesome read. He does a full mock-up on these players. Just hit the little drop-down box when you get to the article, and it does give a awesome summary on all these players. What's your thoughts on these rankings? Do you think someone was kind of slipped out of this list? Should have these players been higher? Is there someone you would have ranked in the top 20 even? Go down and let us know down in the comments. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back with another episode, so keep your eye out for that. But I've been your host, Mark. Bye, and take care, Canucks fans.